Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Upper left-hand corner, we have dignitasSjow starting as the red terran. Upper right-hand corner, we have JulyZerg starting as the blue zerg. This is on Shakuras Plateau and from MLG. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what the number of this map is, but I do know it is from MLG between these two guys. JulyZerg apparently beating multiple opponents, I think somewhere around the range of 5 or 7. In 25 minutes, which is ridiculous, but definitely suits his style. Tends to like aggressive openings, putting his opponents in the dark and then playing from there. But he's going up against Sjow, and I think Sjow will probably be one of the first opponents he goes up against that might give him a hard time. Very intelligent player, has a very unorthodox late scouting style. I guess it's not really unorthodox anymore, knowing that it's kind of well known out in the field. It is possible JulyZerg has studied this player because he is an NASL contender. And I think JulyZerg actually might be a little bit more adept against foreigners at large, just because, one, he's dealt with the North American server lag. I think this is all played on North American server, obviously, because it is played in North America. Anyhow, before I get started, though, and get a little bit too carried away with build orders and things and whatnot, I do want to mention instead of doing every single MLG replay, I could either do one of three things. I could follow the champion, who I will not reveal. I think most of you guys know who that is. I could do some of the games that were not cast by either Tasteless, Artosis, Day 9, or DJ Wheat. And if you want to see some of those matches, you can recommend them to me and I will do them. Or three, what I could do, which is kind of the thing I'm leaning towards, is I could just follow a player that you guys want to see all the way through his run. So for example, if you wanted to see Idra or someone else, just want to see all of the games they played straight through until their elimination or their victory, etc., I could do that. Let me know in the comments. Anyhow, it looks like JulyZerg has in fact opened with a fast expansion build. He's got scouting information running up, pulled that Overlord back in critical time, so Sjow actually didn't get good scouting information, which isn't going to play too big a factor because he's that drone scooting in, and it looks like he is going to send an SCV out. Building a barracks on the low ground. It looks like he's also building a supply depot there, so I assume he's going to isolate out and go for a fast expansion build himself. Orbital command up and running, still no gas. This has been an extremely popular build for Terran lately, basically ignoring early gas, going for that fast expansion build, going for an economic lead, and then forcing essentially the opposition to react. Usually more a Zerg kind of option than Protoss, etc. races. Anyway, spawning pool about 3/4 finished. We do have the extractor up and drones starting to transfer towards the natural. Sjow building a bunker, but fake bunker. JulyZerg is going to bite down on this, wants to make sure it's at least eliminated. So Sjow, I think just building this for Sjow, wants to pull these drones off, distract them for some time, make sure that they're not mining. JulyZerg is going to respect this, however, and try to take it down. But as you can see, no Marine even close nearby. Sjow actually just piling those Marines toward the front. And on top of that, that does provide a little bit of scouting information. There's the cancel, and delays JulyZerg's mining time for quite some time. And I think what he's really hoping to trigger is maybe an overproduction of Zerglings. That did not in fact happen there, though. In the meantime, looks like JulyZerg does in fact have 3 drones on that extractor. No speed as of yet, but still in the early stages of gas collection. 2 queens on the way. And he's going to start macroing up like nuts. Because this is the thing, when you see JulyZerg not open early aggression, you know he's going to follow it up with some huge macro play. That's the problem, is he's so unpredictable and so strong at both styles. In the meantime, second barracks on the front door for Sjow, and this is kind of the critical moment. This is, yes, you get that additional gas, yes, you get that natural expansion up, but then essentially you're allowing your opponent to do whatever he wants. And let's see how JulyZerg decides to exploit that at this stage of the match. Zergling speed now being upgraded, some creep tumors down, an additional extractor. Interestingly enough, at the natural expansion, I've seen a lot of Zerg players do this, so I'm kind of curious why they take their second gas at their natural instead of their main. And I'm wondering almost if it's a percentage, a little bit of an enhanced speed on maps like this. In the meantime, JulyZerg has lots of information coverage. He's covering both Sunlaga watchtowers and just absolutely pumping drones, realizing that Sjow is in no position to put any sort of pressure on him. In the meantime, just going to get that big economic opening. In the meantime, Sjow is moving towards factory build. Very strong Shakuras Plateau, the slow factory sort of style. Take center map control, basically put pressure on your opponent while you're expanding. JulyZerg moving that Overlord a little bit to the north. Looks like he might try to sweep that in from the opposite angle to maybe get some additional scouting information. Could also turn it into an Overseer. A tech lab being planted, I assume to get siege tanks, but it is possible we could see some Hellions mid-game. This is a large map. That scouting could provide some crucial information. Bunker also in the front door preventively, because Sjow has 0 information at this stage, and he does not want to expend a scanner sweep. Trying to preserve as many mules as possible. Is in fact getting pre-igniter upgrade. miscalling it, and he is going to go for Hellions in this mid-game attack. JulyZerg, well, I think he's going to be able to see this, have plenty of Zerglings or even some Queens to deal with this on the front door. He hasn't overextended, and I think that's what Sjow was really hoping to react to, is that JulyZerg would take an additional base here. If he did in fact take an additional base, he could then run the Hellions out and harass that third to high heaven, while JulyZerg was still low on any sort of tech that would be able to repel such an attack. In the meantime, JulyZerg has instead gone to lair. He has an evolution chamber up and running. Not up and running, about halfway finished, and he has tacked on all sorts of gas, so he's going very gas heavy to follow this up. He has a Baneling nest, and he's also getting a Spire, so going with basically heavy infantry into the mid game and going for the tech route instead, which, let's see how Sjow, if he can react. First of all, he's starting to get the Marine count up, but if you look at the composition here, with the lack of siege tanks at this stage, it's really going to hurt Sjow, particularly against all of the Banelings that are going to be encountered on the ground. So basically, JulyZerg is going, once he transitions into more of an infantry-based army, he's going to have Mutalisks and he's going to have Banelings, both of which can devastate a Hellion Marine army, especially a Hellion Marine only army. JulyZerg scouting up, seeing exactly what he wants to see. I'm not sure if he spotted any of these Hellions or not, but still, he's got to feel like he's in a strong position. Now scouting out, getting some additional information, just wants to get a look out in the field. Hellions moving up with a handful of Marines. JulyZerg has plenty of actually speed Zerglings. I mentioned this in the scouting. Yeah, just running up. Beautiful surround in midfield. How do you plan that? Incredible. Running up, he's going to continue to kill plenty of Marines in open field and pull out with what Zerglings has left, splitting them beautifully. Very, very smooth. And critically taking those Hellions out, he's going to be able to take an additional base. Sjow is going to have great difficulty in providing additional harassment, particularly because the Mutalisk's on the way. And you can see just great, amazing smooth play from JulyZerg. He is looking fantastic here. Sjow moving to the bottom right-hand corner. There is a Hellion to engage, being drawn back by that slight Hellion harass. There's going to be a couple seconds where they can nail this hatchery, but unfortunately, they've got a lot of damage they've got to do very, very quickly. JulyZerg running up is going to engage. He wants to sacrifice, well, he doesn't want to sacrifice these Zerglings. He wants to make sure these Zerglings preoccupy these Marines while this hatchery finishes, and the Mutalisks dive in to clean up whatever is left. And it actually doesn't even need it, just Zerglings cleaning that up. Another Hellion out in the field, and that actually might be taken out by these Zerglings as well. And the Mutalisks, in the meantime, going to attack a very soft base from Sjow. Okay, yes, he has turrets there, but he actually has a turret at his main, but he still has soft spots in the defensive wall, like the supply depot, which is most certainly going to be taken out. Looks like Sjow can afford to lose it, though, after dumping all of that supply. He is very greedily going to try to take an additional base, even though he has 0 Marines on the ground to deal with that Mutalisk harass. Okay, 3 Marines going to engage. That is not going to be enough to repel JulyZerg. Still sailing right through, plenty of SCVs going to be picked off here in open field. Now JulyZerg may be a bit overextended. He's going to have difficulty getting these Mutalisks out without losing several of them, or at least taking significant damage. Okay, now taking some damage, going to back off, move towards the south, but still, firm map control again. Sjow has nothing in midfield. Again, just a handful of Banelings can crush whatever Marines might produce. Level 1 weapons as well as level 1 carapace on their way, and additional gas plus additional expansions for JulyZerg. He is most definitely going to be 4 bases versus 3, but at least we have a planetary fortress here up for Sjow. JulyZerg, I don't think he minds. He's going to go ahead and let Sjow take this very, well, late comparative third. It's not totally late. Looks like he's supply capped as well, which is hurting. JulyZerg, I definitely think, has him a little bit off kilter and perhaps even a little bit off on tilt here. Evolution Chamber just going to continue to pump those upgrades again at this layer tech. He has, and look at the creep spread as well, starting to encroach deep into territory. Once his 4th base comes up and those additional, that additional gas comes up, Show's in a lot of trouble. The one thing I do want to note is JulyZerg being very, very careful with his gas production. He actually hasn't produced any Banelings up at this stage, mostly because he hasn't felt he's needed to, which is really going to preserve all of that gas specifically for mutas. And once these mutas get to a certain stage, you're talking about big trouble. It doesn't matter how many Marines you have underneath. They're just going to crush you with the upgrades and with their superior numbers. And it looks like he is going to dive in, try to take out some turrets, and maybe rake over this main, engaging shortly, looking and just cycling around looking for a soft spot. And this is where a little bit of an engagement right here looks like Zerglings engaging a siege tank. But now JulyZerg diving in is going to be able to catch an engineering bay, more vulnerable supply depots. And again, I don't know that the Marines want to engage this wholesale. Even if they do, they're not going to be able to stop that engineering bay from being taken out. Okay, moving up, it looks like group repair is going to save it. That is a very soft building. JulyZerg realizing his superior upgrades and more Mutalisks, taking out all of the Marines, turning right back around, is going to work on that turret once again. And this is where Sjow needs a Thor or something JulyZerg continuing to crush the supply. Sjow can't build anything now. He's just going to get those 4 Marines that that were already in production. Now he's going to have to spend additional turrets. And keep in mind, turrets are not attack units. Wow, Sjow feeling a little bit frustrated and actually getting a sensor tower up to try to keep an eye on that aerial attack. But in the meantime, with just a handful of units, JulyZerg with an absolute death grip on map control. He's already established this additional base. If we bring up the economy tab, oops, wrong tab there. 71 harvesters to 60. Not even 60, 59 at this stage for Sjow, and he's still supply capped. 2 siege tanks. He really doesn't have much of an army either. He's got, what, 3 siege tanks, 45 Marines, actually overcommitting to the Marines now, and JulyZerg sensing it right on top of things, producing a huge amount of banelings. So the Marines going to move out with their combat shield just in time to not have enough siege tanks to support against a huge baneling harass. On top of that, they've got creep right on their doorstep and plenty of brush and whatnot for those banelings to just do all sorts of devastation. The one X factor here is the centrifugal hooks. Will these Marines get forward, take out these banelings before centrifugal hooks kick in? So maybe an opportunity for Sjow with some micro in open field. The Zerglings leading forward, the banelings trailing behind. He's just trying to push them back, buy himself some time. Good surround by JulyZerg. Looks like Sjow not able to get back, moving back towards the siege tank, separated from portions of his army. But the Zerglings, too many of them, they're just going to swarm. And the banelings without speed pushing in. And wow, there's just a trail of destruction left there after that attack. Mutalisks in the meantime diving. JulyZerg realizing he does not have enough to stop the onslaught of the huge Mutalisk force underneath. Medevacs be darned at this stage. Everything getting absolutely crushed in Sjow's main. This is JulyZerg just making him look silly. Now JulyZerg can just pull back. Yes, you have a lot of Marines underneath, but honestly, this is looking scary. JulyZerg taking his 5th base now is staged out to the bottom left just in case Sjow is trying to sneak an expansion. And he has got absolute domination over this game thus far. Sjow is way behind economically. It looks like he has some dropships out, but only 4 siege tanks, 4 dropships, a handful of Marines, yes, way behind on supply, way behind on tech as well though. Mutalisks pushing in, not really going to engage, but just to try to get some scouting information. Thor's in production, about halfway finished, to try to deal against this Mutalisk ball. But plenty of Zerglings to deal with that already. Centrifugal hooks have been upgraded, level 2 weapons up for JulyZerg. He has so many units out on the field. And Sjow just pinned back while JulyZerg can sit on 5 bases and build a huge economy. Not that he doesn't already have a huge economy. Honestly, he could just stop at the harvester count he has, throw in suicide units like this, moving in huge amounts of banelings, Zerglings, everything diving directly into the main. Thor surrounded, dies almost instantaneously. A complete null factor in that fight. The banelings taking the ramp while the Mutalisks and Zerglings rake over the natural expansion. Reinforcements from Sjow trying to get back to the natural expansion, but JulyZerg pulling back. He has wreaked tons of havoc, completely decimated Sjow's natural expansion, is happy to lose these Zerglings. And this is the stage where Sjow has to think, okay, this game is out of my hands. I have to pull everything I've got and just go in for an attack. But JulyZerg is not even going to be given him opportunity to do so. Just pressing in, taking out turrets, taking out everything he can get his, I guess, claws on at this stage. 2 turrets down, Marines being pinned back, just going to pick off as many turrets as possible and force Sjow to expend more economy on infrastructure that is not going to help him out in the long game. And this is where you start seeing what JulyZerg coined Sauron Zerg, swarms of reinforcements moving in. You have a Zergling somehow sneaking in directly to the main, taking out more SCVs. Another group waiting and staging across that 12 o'clock location, going to get taken out by those Mutalisks. And Sjow having to engage in multiple locations. It's not going to help out. Mutalisks, so actually Zerglings are just going to skip by, take out the siege tanks, ignoring those defenses. Siege tanks killing their own Marines at this stage with the splash fire. Planetary Fortress trying to be upgraded. JulyZerg, a little bit of a misstep, is going to lose maybe some Mutalisks, but still has too many to win. Wow, for Sjow to even have a showing there. Going to lose the Medevacs as well. More turrets up, forcing JulyZerg back, but the 12 o'clock expansion completely exposed, and still more reinforcements flooding in for JulyZerg. He's still stuck around 150 supply. Zerglings pushing in, going to take out siege tanks, everything else. And keep in mind, they are really scarily upgraded. Level 2 weapons. Sjow, I assume he's behind on upgrades. I don't even know if I'm going to get an opportunity to check here. Level 1 weapons on the siege tanks. I still don't see a Marine on the ground anywhere. They're finally a Marine, level 1 armor, level 1 weapons, so still behind in the upgrade factor. He's having to defend a ton of territory, and this entire time, his base is completely breached. JulyZerg taking down everything with just Zergling forays into his main. just exploiting the distance that Sjow has to cover, Mutalisks everywhere, and you have to feel the panic in Show's corner right now. Just Zerglings everywhere, and this is what it is like to be Terran versus Zerg. Diving in, reinforcements getting completely crushed, Mutalisks up above, Zerglings completely shielding the way. Yes, some Marines left underneath, but I think that is going to be it. The final blow, I'm waiting for a GG from Sjow because it feels like this game was over a long time ago, but he is still holding out in this match. Maybe wanting to, again, I'm not sure what stage of the match this was. More Zerg is continuing to press in. This is the thing, even if JulyZerg just sits and loses all these troops, he can afford to do so. He has a huge bank, a huge economy behind this. He can just force Sjow to build these units, expend them, lose them, and just refill his supply. Sjow is so far behind on Harvesters, so far behind just economically, that JulyZerg can just throw units at him like a brick through a window. And right now, Sjow is living in a glass house. Desperation here. Marines trying to engage to the north. It looks like Zergling's going to break through the destructible rocks, easily going to be able to take out that planetary fortress if there's no support. Sjow trying to stage what he can. He has some medevacs to the south, but no army underneath. Actually waiting for a handful of Marines. I don't even think he... How many Marines? He has 17 Marines to his name. 5 Siege Tanks and 4 Thors. Not enough. Not enough to hold back or even stem the tide. My goodness. Banelings morphing as well. I'd actually like to see Banelings take down that destructible rock. Just blow right into it to blow that front door open. Sjow, I think with the last hurrah, moving across mid-map. Siege Tanks hiding in the brush, but JulyZerg right on top of it. Oh, tanks didn't even siege for a second before they were completely swarmed. Army disappears almost instantaneously. Sjow down to 60 supply approximately, trying to drop on the high ground to at least get a bit of reprieve from that huge ground army. Single Thor left from behind, but that is it. 150 supply left for JulyZerg. Sjow again down to 50, gonna lose medevacs as well. Yes, he has his 12 o'clock base running, but his main is almost mined out. His natural expansion completely gone. Third base at least is still there, but for how long? JulyZerg continuing to press in with Mutalisks and Zerglings. Those Marines are not long for life. I think this is it. Oh my goodness. The brutality here. JulyZerg showing why he has the nickname God of War. GG from dignitasSjow. And JulyZerg playing fantastically. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, recommendations if you want to see someone followed all the way through like JulyZerg. I actually would really enjoy casting every single JulyZerg match all the way through. Perhaps a foreigner. Of course, foreigner being someone outside of Korea or otherwise. Let me know in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.